also, proposing the same assumption that is made in the Mandel-Fleming model, that is, there is a perfect flow of capital, so that in J countries, say, there is only one interest rate, because they don't have incentive to shift to gain more. The competitive side of the market represents a market game where there is basically a Cournot model where the players are represented by the governments and the tax rate represents their strategic variable. What is shown in this model is that competition is never good because it always leads to under-taxation. It does not depend on which tax scheme we're going to use, which framework, for example, separate accounting or other. But this is a usual topic when we deal with a Cournot model with no cooperation. Because if there is a Nash equilibrium, then there's no need for it to be Pareto efficient. In practice, this result can be easily extended to the problems we are now having with the European Union because of the non-optimality of the fiscal competition. Because, as we will see, because we have the problem of competition, not cooperation. There are two main tax systems. One is named separate accounting, and the other one is the formula apportionment. I would say that the first one, separate accounting, is the usual one. A firm pays taxes on the revenues it has had in a certain year in that country, not taking into consideration what has happened outside the country and inputs or output or profits gained in other countries. This is not true when we talk about formula apportionment because in this particular tax system we consider the tax revenue for a country to be a function, like in this case, a weighted average of inputs that can be labor and capital, and also inputs, and also profits, and also output. This can be done because states are free to choose the weights in order that they sum to one because they are basically densities. But prior to do this, the tax bases are consolidated, that they can also take into consideration what has happened to other countries, what has happened outside, because tax base consolidation means that they also not only sum the inputs used, but also the profits obtained in other countries. In the separate accounting framework, we can see that firms can choose capital, labor, and also the so-called profit shifting. We refer to profit shifting when there is the possibility for a firm to shift a part of its profits to another country that has a lower tax rate. And this could be easily done every time if there were no concealment costs. There is the opportunity cost that a firm should pay in order to shift the profit, because, for example, it is not always legal to shift profits to other country in order to pay less taxes in country I. Now we can see a kind of timetable of what could happen when there is an increase in the tax rate in country I. The first direct consequence is that the one that I have already talking about, that is there is an increase in the profit shifting because there is a too large gap in the tax rate between country J and country I. And this, as a second consequence, lowers the tax base for country I. Since this happened, there is a decrease in the equilibrium interest rate, because since there is no convenience, there is no incentive to invest in country I because of the higher tax rate, then there is also less demand for capital. And in a second moment, these will increase the investments made in other countries because they have not changed the tax rate. The last consequence is that since capital and labor are complementary, because we are talking about, as we will see, a CES function, production function, then if capital goes down, then also labor goes down, at least the demand for labor. This implies that there is also a decrease in the wage, in the tax increasing country, and an increase in all the others. The third consequence we have seen in the previous slide basically states that when there is a change in the tax rate, an increasing change because it's a derivative, then the partial effect on the equilibrium interest rate, in fact you can see that T is TI because it's referred to the tax rate of country I, but R has no subscript. It is negative as it was stated before. But also when a country I tries to maximize the profit, the revenue tax profit, and this is a maximization because we can see, for example, the zeros in the end of the equation. We can see that the first part has the total profit, that is the big fee, I guess. And then we have a minus sign, and for parameters that are all positive. And the last one is the partial derivative we have shown before, but since it's negative, the total sign is positive for the left side. Now, since we have a zero as the result, and positive sign on the left, and a minus in the middle, this implies that T plus EZ is positive. T and SC are the two externalities we can see in this framework, in this rate accounting, and they are the true tax-based externality and the profit shifting externality. I mean, they are the externalities referring to specific objects in the framework. But since they are positive, the direct consequence is that the TTL, that is the tax rate coming from that equation, is too low. Now we have our first theorem then, and it states that in case we have a competition game, this is a no competition game, and we have a separate accounting, also we have a symmetric Nash equilibrium, then the is TTL, but it is inefficiently low. We can try to do the same with the formal apportionment framework. And in this case, we can see that firms can choose capital and labor, but they cannot choose profit shifting anymore. And this is quite intuitive, I guess, because when they try to shift profit, they have to pay the so-called concealment cost. But as stated before, they have to do the so-called consolidation of profits. Then if they shift profit, the total sum of the profit does not change, but they still have to pay the concealment cost. Then they have no incentive to shift profits, not even try to do this. But I would say the main point of this framework is the apportionment coefficient. Of course, in this case, it's for country I, because each country can decide the parameters alpha, beta, and gamma in order to maximize the profits as they want. And this is defined as the weighted average of the capital used by the firm in country I over the total capital, the same for labor, the same for cost of labor also, and same for production. This implies that the tax burden in the formal apportionment is not depending only on the tax rate TI, small TI in this case, but also on the big AI, that is the weighted average we have just talked about. And this is quite strange because, as you can easily check, AI is always between 0 and 1, strictly between 0 and 1, because big K, for example, is larger than small k. And this means that TI times AI is smaller than TI. Then at the first sight, this could seem that we are decreasing the tax rate with this specific framework. But we also have to take into consideration the fact that now pi, big pi, is not only big pi, it's big pi consolidated. Then we are also talking about a sum of profits, as we're talking about a weighted average of the cost of every input and also output. Then we have that big pi is larger than pi. A and AI is smaller than TI, then the total effect depends on whether a country is making a too high tax level or not. Now we can try to do the same we have done before with the equilibrium tax rate, but instead of doing this for country I, we can try to do this for each country except for I. we are then defining we're then trying to set the externalities as the sum of gains obtained by each country except for I when I maximizes the tax rate. And also in this case we have that the externalities are positive. This is what made us, but they are not the same we had before. They are now CE and FE, and they are specific for the formula of apportionment, because CE is the consolidated tax. It comes from the fact that they are not only paying taxes on the profit made in the country, but in a broader definition of profit, and also it depends on how they weight the profit actually on AI. Also in this case, since the result is positive, we have that there is a positive externality, and we have the same identical theorem that we have had before. That T tilde, if the game is symmetric and it's Cournot and there is an actual equilibrium, is inefficiently low. Then we should try to say which is the best one, which is better. But since they are both positive, nothing can be said a priori, because we should want the one that has a lower externality. Now, the third theorem comes to help us, because defining the production function as a normal CES, where nu is the coefficients of capital and labor. It's symmetric with respect to capital and labor. And nu 5 is a certain threshold that comes from the fact that this equation is completely parametric. Then it depends on the weights we had. Then, if the equilibrium are the same we have obtained before, that is T tilde and T hat in this case. If the nu is larger than nu5 that is defined as the parametric function, then FA strictly dominates gives a lower distortion. It means that it's better than separate accounting. Graphically, it can be seen by this graph. This is a simple Laffer curve, and the fact that both T tilde and T hat are on the left of the maximum, because it can be easily seen, implies that both are not efficient, because the efficient point is when T allows the government to get the maximum of G. But we can also compare this result with empirical results. We know that empirically nu is around 0.5, and nu5 is around minus 0.35. Then we can say that FA is better than separate FA, formula of apportionment is better than separate accounting, because it fully respects the condition imposed before by theorem. This leads us to the conclusion of this paper, and the results are mainly on the fact that in this case there is no cooperation, and there is no cooperation because each country, taken singularly, does not perceive themselves as being able to, in some sense, change the interest rate. For example, there is the leading example of Switzerland, or also Germany. It is a quite big country, but not as big as would be the European Union as a whole. Then the final point is that a general shift to the formula of apportionment should be made, because it would allow most countries to maximize their profits when they don't. And also, in a community of trades and people, this should imply also a kind of fiscal union that should be wanted.
I'll ask one. Anybody else want to ask a question? No? I'll ask one very quick, but you must stay within the time. Can you have you got an intuition, or do the authors give an intuition as to why the apportionment is less inefficient?
The fact is that I would
I know
rely
it comes
on,
out mathematically, but I'm
I
just...
would rely on this.
Yeah,
Yes, because when they define the less efficient or more efficiency, for example, they say that when I talk about this new 5, for example, it's
Yeah.
it's not a case that there is a 5 because this is a threshold,
Yeah.
and this alpha, beta, and gamma, for example, are the weighted average I want as a country to tax some firm on the capital, on the labor, and so on. But this is the lowest part, since they show that alpha can never be 1. Then there is no incentive to tax capital. Yes, to tax capital as a whole. Then they don't want to tax only capital, and
Right.
this should be the case.
Okay.
Because there is more flexibility because of the endogenous interest rate.
Okay. Thank you.